Well, hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Feeling Smarter. As always, I'm joined by Tim Miller. G'day, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, going pretty well, Aaron. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Well, as we turn our attention to our upcoming SMSF Pensions Masterclass, we wanted to have a look today at an area that we have seen some change from the 1st of July 2024 as the preservation age has increased to age 60. And that is the topic of when a member meets a condition of release. So, Tim, the first question to you that I'll pose is, what is the impact of that change that I just announced where preservation has reached now age 60?
Yeah, look, I guess it's an interesting one because in the essence of the conditions of release themselves haven't changed over a significant period of time. But of course, with preservation age changing, what it's done is it's brought this synergy between the concept of retirement prior to age 60 versus retirement post age 60. So now that we're not having to contemplate anybody retiring prior to the age of 60, given that preservation age has now hit 60, we've got I guess a vastly different approach to what people need to satisfy to meet that definition of retirement. So it's there's less restriction than there was previously, whereas prior to 1 July you had to declare a future intent. So if you're under age 60, you had to declare a future intention of no longer intending to be gainfully employed. Whereas now you can still make that declaration, but more importantly, you've got that capacity to just say that you have that an arrangement under which you are gainfully employed has come to an end, and that's enough to satisfy the retirement
Yeah,
definition.
so that really has simplified it because we are,
Yeah,
as you've rightly stated, looking only at a change in the condition of an employment relationship, and even where we've got multiple employment arrangements, the fact that we would only need to cease one of those
yeah,
would actually make accessible those benefits for individuals.
correct.
When we look at conditions of release, we know naturally the importance of the different conditions in the context of whether we're paying a retirement phase income stream or transition to retirement income stream and the impact that that has. But there are a few other income streams that can be paid, in particular in the context of SMSFs, that we need to be aware of and the conditions of release that happen around those. So again, I might get you to explore with our audience today about what some of those other conditions are and how they impact the different income streams that are paid.
Yeah, and again, look, it's a matter of having a full appreciation for not just the conditions of release, but the cashing restrictions that are attached to them. And of course, everyone's ultimate goal is to attain age 65 and then have full access to your super benefits. Of course, if you're pre age 65, then you're looking for that retirement definition to be able to get full access. And then you've got your other sort of conditions that will ultimately allow you to access your benefits fully, or for somebody to access your benefits fully. And they're the conditions of release of permanent incapacity and death, which can be paid out as a disability superannuation income stream or a death benefit superannuation income stream. So you've got those opportunities there. But then you've got other conditions such as temporary incapacity, where under the guise of, say, an income protection insurance policy, the fund can own that policy and the fund can pay an income stream to the member of the fund. Now that in as itself is a very different looking income stream to what we might see in retirement phase. And in fact, I often just sort of reference it more as almost an insurance funnel, like where the money has
Mm.
been funneled through the super fund. So rather than the insurer paying the member directly, they're paying the super fund, and then the super fund is passing that income on, albeit with a potential withholding tax liability attached to it. But it doesn't then enable the fund to all of the other benefits of paying an income stream.
Yeah, so really only in that instance, as you indicated, the fund being the policy holder,
Yeah,
we in essence have that satisfied through the super fund itself, and then ultimately we create the temporary incapacity income stream there. Noting that we don't even use the word superannuation in the context of that; it is literally only there from the income stream being paid from the insurance policy. And the other aspect that I find quite interesting in this space is the ATO's literature that they have around the related party or the closely held nature of a small business in particular, and the way in which individuals might conjure up, for the sake of a better word, a condition of release being met. And there is a really good example that the ATO have on their website of the Crackle Family Trust. And we will include a link as part of this week's webinar around it. But I do implore you to go away and have a look at it and understand it, because the restructuring of someone's affairs, where ultimately there is no change in the exertion that the individual does, or at least to the extent that they're not working less than 10 hours in a week, and therefore the result that they get from that direct or indirect performance is effectively one and the same, but rather than maybe it being wages, salary and wages, it comes back out to them maybe in the form of a distribution and ultimately increased. That Crackle Family Trust really highlights the way that the ATO in this instance will look through the way in which that arrangement has tried to create, in essence, a condition of release. And this I should state that this Crackle Family Trust does look at an individual at 57 years of age. So someone at 61 or 62 may be somewhat different in the current environment, but it really highlighted here where the ATO said, well, we don't see in this instance any change to the circumstances of the individual. The fact that they're still being remunerated, you have reshaped the way that that remuneration works. And therefore, off the back of that, we don't feel as though you have moved those benefits from preserved to unrestricted, and therefore have the ability to commence an account-based pension. And I guess, Tim, the question to you, given consideration of that, is quite often, and again, I think this was more of an issue with the preservation to age 60, but the fact that trying to create arrangements can be somewhat problematic. The fact that people were maybe trying to retire on Friday and maybe, funnily enough, they're back at work on Monday. What are some of the things that people need to be looking out for here?
Yeah, look, I think it's one of those areas, and it's the reverse of what we used to see with the contribution rules, where people used to conjure up that they were working to be able to make contributions. In this instance, they're conjuring up that they're not working to be able to access their benefits, and of course the reality of that is that there are alternatives. So you don't necessarily, now that their preservation age is 60, you don't need to have full access to your super. You've got your natural access via a transition to retirement income stream. Now, of course, that's not a pension in the retirement phase, so the fund is still liable for tax, but it's a better alternative than having illegal early release of super as the outcome for withdrawing benefits, where you think you've met a condition and you haven't otherwise. And that becomes particularly relevant if you draw, say, more than 10% of your account balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is just one of the areas, of course, that we're going to be talking about in our upcoming SMSF Pensions Masterclass. Many of you that have been to these events will know that we utilise our case study of the Little Brewers Super Fund and the Malthouse family. So, Tim, I guess Andrew and Mary will feature prominently in this upcoming masterclass, as opposed to some of the kids that have formed part of our Little Brewers Super Fund.
Yeah, well, look, we might try and find a way or two.
Oh, yes. There is a couple of ways we can do it out now that I say that.
Yeah, we may disable them temporarily or permanently for the sake of the theatre. But
I don't know how many times you can knock off one person. So whether someone else dies, we might leave it for people to come along and find out more.
Correct, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you once again for joining us for this week's edition of Feeling Smarter. Have a great rest of the week. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.